calculus could wait. She was almost 18, and when she left school in June, she'd be helping him to run the farm. So he ought to be telling her what this was all about. But before Lorna could say anything, a hugely muscled British soldier climbed down from the truck driver's seat. He had 3 stripes across the straining arm of his uniform. A sergeant, she realised, just like her oldest brother, John Joe. For a moment, Lorna wondered where her elder brother was right then. As her father walked toward the sergeant and the truck, a thick-set man whose head was closely shaven but whose chin was not called out, he waved at Lorna and said something to her, his voice harsh and guttural. Even if she didn't understand him, she recognised the language from the newsreels, and her heart leaped to her throat. He was speaking German. He called again, and some of the others laughed. Suddenly Lorna felt exposed and awkward, and then the familiar burn of a blush began to creep up her neck. The sergeant dropped the tailboard down with a clatter, startling the 3 cats sidling towards the milky cobbles. "Army's been putting up proper fences over at Gosford for a week or so now," he said, "getting the camp secure for these blokes. Don't know why, though. It's not like they'll be chained up or nothing. Too busy working for their keep, from what I hear." He beckoned someone forward with a stubby finger. "Vogel? Your turn, sunshine. Down you come." Lorna grabbed at her father's sleeve while not taking her eyes from the men in the truck. Then her dad was growling in her ear. "Stop gawping, girl, and go." "But they're Germans," she said. "The enemy. You can't be bringing enemy soldiers onto our farm, Dad. No. They're prisoners of war now, not soldiers. Sure that Mr. Hitler's the devil in jackboots, but the war is over for these chaps. And since they're fit and able young men, they can damn well do a man's work around this farm. But Dad..." Her annoyance now obscured her embarrassment. "We're coping just fine until your brothers come back. If they ever come back." Even as she said it, Lorna knew she'd overstepped the mark, and she hoped her father hadn't heard. He had. "Do not tell me how to run my farm." He pointed deliberately in the direction of the village and the school. As Lorna began to argue, a prisoner, had the sergeant called him Vogel, jumped down from the truck, stumbling as he landed, his back to them. He quickly righted his balance. Tall and skinny, his dark grey uniform didn't fit him. The pants were baggy and too short, and the jacket swamped his gaunt frame. He had the same haircut as the others, shaved close, and his neck was scrawny and pale. He was just a boy, and it looked as if a puff of wind would blow him away. But then the boy turned toward them, and Lorna could see a high cheekbone and a strong jawline. All right, perhaps he was more a man, but still. Then he faced them full on, and Lorna's irritation was instantly extinguished, her shock catching her throat. Half the boy's face was gone. No, that wasn't quite right. His face was there, but from his left temple to his chin, across his cheek and down the left side of his throat, the pale skin had been burned away, leaving raw red scarring, tight and shiny. The flesh was puckered into the knotted remains of an earlobe, and his left eye was stretched out of shape, round, elongating to oval. Lorna was horrified. What had happened? What had done that to him? She didn't know what she'd been expecting, but not that. And then an awful thought struck her. Had this terrible damage been inflicted by a British soldier like John Joe? Lorna felt sick at the thought, but still she could not look away. "Christ almighty," her father muttered. Then the sergeant walked in front of her, and the spell was broken. "Don't get too scared, love, he won't bite." He seemed to find her discomfort amusing. "Well, not until he knows you better. Ain't he a horrible sight?" Lorna glanced again toward the prisoner. Had he heard that? The sergeant chuckled. "Don't worry, love. He doesn't speak a word of the King's English. None of them do." He gestured to the German. "Do half nine English, eh, Fritz?" Was that even German? The prisoner stood straight and still. His expression, or as much of it as she could interpret from the undamaged side of his face, was impassive. A mask. Perhaps the driver was right, and he hadn't understood the insult. As the sergeant gave them a mock salute and clambered back into the truck, Lorna struggled to remember what she had been saying before that awful scarred face had forced everything else from her mind. As the army truck reversed across the farmyard, Lorna